How's it going, Ram fans? Welcome back to another week of CTV Sports. I'm Leah Cackowski.
And I'm Mike Walsh, and you may be wondering why we're wearing jerseys. Well, with Halloween 8 days away, we just thought we'd play our part to celebrate the holiday.
That's right, Mike. But in any case, here are your top stories for the week.
CSU football hopes to carry some much-needed momentum from last week's thrilling win over Hawai'i to Boise this upcoming Saturday.
CTV's own Ella Fredrikson guides us through the Timbers and Thorns for a look at CSU's very own logging team.
And Hot or Not returns for another week of contentious picks, this time in the worlds of football, baseball, and volleyball.
All of that and more right here on CTV Sports, which starts right now.
Always, we'll kick things off with CSU football, who for the second time in the past 3 weeks has given Ram fans a big win, this time defeating the University of Hawai'i in the final few minutes of regulation. The Rams looked solid throughout, matching Hawaii's energy right from kickoff. CSU came out swinging with this massive run from our workhorse running back, Avery Morrow, on the Rams' very first drive of the game. And much to Ram fans' pleasure, the team finally had QB1 Clay Millen back, and he wasted no time getting 4 air raid back up and running. However, the offensive production proved to be a one-man show as Morrow was able to sneak in both of the Rams' touchdowns, first scoring from near the goal line and then rubbling in the game-winning tally from 10 yards out with 88 seconds left on the clock. But the Rams' offense was not alone when it came to manufacturing highlights. The defense was electric too, specifically in the second half, allowing only 33 yards total in the final 2 quarters. The Rams D did get off to a slow start though, surrendering all of Hawaii's 13 points in the first 30 minutes of play. However, CSU defensive coordinator Freddie Banks knows how to get the best out of his group, and that's exactly what happened following the break. The Rams forced multiple 3-and-outs both in the air and on the ground, as well as a game-sealing interception from defensive back Aiden Hector, which led to the Rams' first victory formation of the season with the final knee from Millen. But following the win, Banks didn't need to speak for himself as both head coach Jay Norvell and Aiden Hector expressed their praises of him and the work he did Saturday afternoon.
He's just really detailed. I don't want to be a head coach yet now. We got a lot of games to win here, but no, he's just a really talented coach.
He demands perfection, and anything less than that, he'll get on it. And I wouldn't have it any other way because I'm trying to be the best player I can be. So I'm just grateful to be here. I'm grateful to play under Coach Banks and Coach Norvell.
And we also heard from Morrow, who is currently on a 3-game streak of 100-plus rushing yards, and he emphasized how important a winning mentality is and discussed his promise of more scores in the future. Listen in.
Every play is important, and I think everybody needs to dial down, understand that, because once everybody understands that, this team is going to go far. You got to run the ball hard, and we will have more touchdowns in the future. That I promise.
So clearly a lot of positive outlooks coming from every angle, and rightfully so, as CSU did a lot of things right in this one. But now let's get a glimpse at how the schools matched up in the box score. The Rams bested the Rainbow Warriors in more than one major category, finally, throwing for 4 more passing yards and 125 more rushing yards, yes, 125. But the players weren't the only ones being aggressive, as Coach Norvell was feeling the confidence in his guys all game, calling the Rams to go for 6 fourth downs and ending up converting on 3 massive tries. So now the Rams have won 2 of their last 3 and are now set to face a much different opponent, traveling farther into the Northern Rockies up to Boise for a date with the Broncos on Saturday. Boise State is currently undefeated in conference play and 5-2 overall, so yeah, a much harder feat for CSU. We'll just have to wait and see come Saturday if CSU can at least keep it remotely close. But now let's switch gears to women's soccer. Leah, did we finally get a win on Sunday?
Well, Mike, I wish I could say the Rams were able to pull it off, but unfortunately, they fell to the never-ending trend of the season, finishing in a tie. Because of this, CSU will not have a postseason appearance for the first time under Keely Hagan's leadership. Okay, now that I said the quiet part out loud, let's see exactly what caused the draw over the weekend. Colorado State actually got off to a fast start. Just 13 minutes in, Megan Dembski lofted a beautiful pass to open space, where Rams top scorer Liv Layton tracked it down and tapped it past Fresno goalkeeper Valentina Vivas. CSU kept quiet though and eventually paid off for the Bulldogs, as Sierra Wilson fed a sneaky pass to a streaking Saya Cassandra down the middle of the box, who booted it past Rams netminder Maddie Ogden. The score would stay that way until the 72nd minute when weather conditions halted play. And to the disappointment of many, the refs ended up calling the match as a result, producing a final of 1-1. As we look at the team figures, both had the same amount of shots on goal, and fouls are pretty even too, proving the back and forth competitiveness throughout. But the bottom line is Fresno State, who sits at dead last in the league, mind you, knew it needed to come in with fire, and the green and gold just couldn't reciprocate that intensity. While the Rams have had a hard-fought season, their inability to close out games is the main reason they will be absent during playoff time. And yes, defense is extremely strong in the Mountain West, making goals really hard to come by. But the Rams' offense never found a way to break through. It's the underlying reason for why they set a new school record with the most draws in a season, totaling 8. Nevertheless, let's view how the standings currently hold, even without a CSU Mountain West bid. The New Mexico Lobos lead the pack, and though they have plenty of ties, would you look at that? 5 wins compared to CSU's 1 actually makes a difference. San Diego State isn't too far behind, same amount of wins, but a couple of added losses. Now, credit is where credit's due, and keep in mind that the Rams actually defeated the Aztecs earlier in the year for their lone conference dub of the season. And they also hung in with the Lobos, yielding a draw, of course. Anyway, it'll be exciting to see who takes the hardware home, as the top 4 schools are neck and neck. Heck, even Boise State, Colorado College, and Utah State are in the hunt. Overall, the Rams have had quite the competitive season, and it stinks to know they only have 1 match remaining of their 2022 campaign. But it should be an exciting one as they welcome the Cowboys for the yearly Border War for Senior Night. I'm hoping the Green and Gold will be able to conclude the season on a high note. Nothing feels better than a Wyoming win. That's enough about soccer. Mike, how did Coach Hilbert and company fare on the court this weekend?
Thanks, Leah. Rams volleyball had 2 matches in the past 5 days, first hosting Boise State on Thursday, and well, the Broncos settled themselves into the road environment rather comfortably, beating the Rams 3-1. However, CSU wasn't too far behind as the margin of victory in all 4 sets never surpassed 5 points. But whenever something went wrong for the Rams, the Broncos seemed to always exploit it. Other than the second set, the Rams just couldn't muster enough to reach that 25-point benchmark. That said, they still had some great individual performances from players like Sierra Pritchard, who dealt out some really nice sets, ending the night with 43 assists. Or Nahima Weathers, who was our biggest presence at the net, finishing it with game highs of 13 kills and 6 blocks. So the Rams did unfortunately suffer a loss, but it did not ruin their spirits as Jackie Van Liefde and Nahima Weathers both had different and unique perspectives on why a positive mind prevailed.
We have a legacy of winning, and every time we go into a match like this, it's always tough, but we always come out on the other side better and smarter, and it makes us stronger as a team and more connected. So hopefully we learn from this and we go forward even stronger.
I think there's a lot to learn from a loss like this. It exposes some of our areas that we need to work a lot more on. So I think, we've been working on blocking. We need to continue to get better on blocking.
Agreed, losing doesn't always have to be bad. Everything can be approached as a learning opportunity, and boy did it help because after Saturday's match in Logan against Utah State, their heads were held much higher as they left the court. In this one, the Rams looked like a completely different team when it came to the end of these sets compared to Thursday's loss to Boise, as their hitting, setting, and communication were all evidently different. But the Aggies did put up a good effort, only losing sets 1 and 4 by a mere 2 points. However, they just kept beating themselves when it mattered, whereas the Rams capitalized in crunch time and pulled out 3 great sets to steal the win. And as a team, CSU was completely dominant, winning in almost every category that matters. And even though the Aggies were hot on the Rams' tail in just about every one, Colorado State was able to record an additional kill, 3 more assists, and 2 more aces. And what's most important of all, 3 more points. But now we could talk about CSU's past outcomes for hours, but now let's shift over to the overall competition that stands in the way of a potential first-place Mountain West crown. We see UNLV overtaking the top spot after a huge win over the team right behind them, San Jose State, last week, And then we see our Rams deadlocked with the Spartans. And as we move down, we see the records drop off a little bit with Wyoming sitting in 6th at 500. So CSU can definitely climb to number 1 if wins keep coming and some other teams help to effectuate some key UNLV and San Jose losses. But that journey continues apace this week, and Moby Arena will see it all. San Diego State on Thursday and Fresno State on Saturday. Stay connected with us here at CTV every Tuesday as we continue covering CSU's race to the mountain peak. But now let's go a few grades down and check in with the local high school football scene. Leah?
Thanks, Mike. Well, I can tell you one thing. It's coming down to the wire with so much at stake, including the league title. If you've been following us here on CTV this semester, you've probably picked up that Fossil Ridge is pretty good. A veteran, well-established quarterback, combined with playmaker at running back, and so many weapons on the outside have made the SaberCat offense elite. And the defense has been strong too, only allowing 21 or more points twice this season. These components have justifiably resulted in Fossil Ridge dominating league play and remaining tied for the number 1 spot. However, if there ever was a concern, it was that the competition has been lacking as of late. From this list, the only teams Fossil has played are Fort Collins, Boulder, and Rocky Mountain, which means the SaberCats have yet to face Fairview or Poudre. But with only 2 weeks remaining, that would soon change. And last Friday, Fossil Ridge finally got to battle the school right at its heels, Fairview, traveling to Boulder for a marquee matchup that will determine the league's fate and show who's really the best. Unfortunately for the SaberCats, it was the Knights that prevailed in pretty convincing fashion. Whether it was a spread look or a bunch run formation, Fairview's wide playbook caught Fossil off guard. The Knights stormed down the field rather easily, tiring the SaberCats defense and, most importantly, keeping Kuba and the Fossil offense off the field. The highly anticipated affair was never really super competitive, and to the dissatisfaction of Fossil fans, it saw the Knights claim the league title as rightfully theirs. Fairview's 42-26 victory highlighted a busy Week 9 scoreboard. Although the other two showings weren't really close, Boulder and Fort Collins both got blown out. The Lambskins 41-15 to Poudre, and the Panthers 42-3 to crosstown rivals Rocky Mountain. Not surprising, yes, but it goes to show just how much separation there is between the top 3, Rocky, and the bottom 2. And speaking of those top 3, the playoffs are looming just 2 weeks out. Here's what's on the line heading into the final state of the regular season matchups. Fairview, Fossil Ridge, and Poudre are all in. The Knights are the most definite, currently retaining the highest seed at 11. The SaberCats following at 14, and Poudre rounds it out at 18. What's interesting is that Rocky is also in the mix at 21. 24 teams get in, with the top 8 receiving a bye. In the first round, seeds 9 through 16 will host, so if the current rankings hold, both Fairview and Fossil Ridge would play at their home fields. Regardless of the result, the placement of Fossil and Poudre after Friday shouldn't change the seeding significantly, but it would definitely be a confidence booster for either squad. For Rocky, an upset win over Fairview on Thursday would certainly lock them in. When we come back, Ruby Kayser will replace us on desk to give you all the updates you need for cross country and women's golf.
Plus, did you know we have a logging team? Yes, I mean like an actual team dedicated to chopping down wood. Hear more about this interesting club from our very own Ella Fredrikson after the break.
Multiple studies have shown that marijuana can slow both driver reaction and response time, which can be really dangerous. He's here. He's here. Wait. What? I can't drive. Why? I'm high. Oh.
Welcome back from the break, Ram fans. I'm Ruby Kayser. Now, before I dive into more CSU sports, ever wonder what exactly goes into creating the brand image that Colorado State has? Who exactly makes the green, gold, white, and occasional orange so vibrant? Well, we set to find the answer. Greg James joins us in the studio to report back about what he found in regard to CSU's marketing team. Take it away, Greg.
Thanks, Ruby. Recently, I sat down with Patrick Touziant, CSU's Assistant Director of Marketing, to discover more about this vital team behind the horns. The sights and sounds of homecoming, whether it's the fans, the food, or the football, none of it would be possible without successful marketing. One of the people responsible for this at CSU is Patrick Tuzion.
What I do for them is, I help them pretty much like in my title, market them to, it could be students, to the community, to businesses, to, anybody on any platform, which is social, it could be word of mouth, stuff like that.
A lot of time is committed by student athletes to their respective sports, and to see it pay off is rewarding.
Another thing that is exciting for me is watching, the excitement from the student athletes, whether it's a touchdown, whether it's a home run, whether it's a basket or, a kill, whatever. Just watching their excitement, their joy work for probably 1 point or one moment, and to see that rejoice is very good, happy for me.
CSU student athletes also serve as role models for the next generation.
You have kids who look up to these student athletes who, want to be like them. And if they're sitting here listening to them and they're like, something that connects them with them, something that's like, oh, I do that too. That student athlete or that kid now looks at that student athlete as not only someone who they find they idolize, but someone they can be like, oh, they're just like me, and have someone they connect with.
But summed up, marketing has one goal in mind.
Fill Moby Arena, fill Canvas Stadium. There we go.
It was really cool to see just how much thought and care goes into advertising CSU events here on campus. Not to mention the athlete spotlights and effort to continually engage with the community. Ruby, back to you.
And in other CSU sports, cross country was in action this past Friday, having 9 runners pace it out at the Colorado Springs Open. The event primarily served as preparation for the Mountain West Championship this upcoming Friday with 6 Rams partaking in their first meet of the season. And the results were pretty good on both sides. We'll start with the women. Redshirt senior Carly Wall led the way in the 6K at just over 23 minutes at a 7th place finish. The rest of the group followed in that 23 to 25 range, with sophomore Isabella Presceno rounding it out at the bottom. She and Wall were the pair that already had a race under their belt. Meanwhile, in the men's 8K, freshman Ben Kerbo paced the squad in the 8K at 26 minutes and 41 seconds, posting 20th overall. He was pursued by redshirt senior Ryan Burkmeyer and fellow first-year Gavin Meir, who recorded times of 27.5 minutes and just under 28. Of 3, Burkmeyer was the lone season vet. Connor Dolan, a member of CSU's track team, also ran but unattached, clocking at 26:25:25, a mark good enough for 12th. Like I said at the top, the Rams used this outing more as a warm-up to the Mountain West Championship, which takes place up north in Laramie on Friday. The men and women units for Colorado State are both solid, currently ranked 28th and 23rd nationally. So with the Mountain Regionals and the NCAA tournament not too far ahead, the Rams could impress very soon. And do you know what else is impressing? Colorado State women's golf finished 1 round of holes in the Rainbow Wahine Invite yesterday, currently sitting in first. Well, actually, both Gonzaga and the Rams posted 6 under, but the fact remains the same. CSU leads the tournament at 282, 10 strokes ahead of the host Hawai'i. Some of the Rams' top performers include Sophia Torres and Andrea Bergstoder, each sitting at 3 under. Bergstoder had a team-high 6 birdies, while Torres had 5. Meanwhile, the scorecards for Pamika and Panchalika were good enough for 6th and tied for 15th, respectively. Round 2 concludes today and the event wraps up tomorrow. Hopefully the Rams can sustain their early success and leave the Aloha State with a definite first-place finish. And now to the TV for another feature story. You thought Ella had the night off, didn't you? Well, you're wrong, because she's right over there with a special on who exactly?
Well, Ruby, I got to spend the last week with the Colorado State Logging team, and I absolutely loved hearing about their personal experiences with this group, especially in such a gorgeous part of Fort Collins. Now, whatever assumption you're making about what this team is, scratch that and let me just show you.
the Colorado State Logging team is back in full swing. But some students here at CSU are not exactly sure what that sport entails, who is involved, or how the team competing in 23 different events while traveling across the country to do so came to be.
Logging sports has technically been around since the early 60s, but didn't really come into fruition as a formal team until the mid-80s here at CSU. We've been here at this site since 2007, and have been competing and making good athletes and good community members ever since. So.
Last weekend was the first Fort Collins competition known as Chaptoberfest, hosting schools from all around the west side of the country. With recruitment year-round, they are always looking for new members to join, open to everyone who is interested.
We always need more women on the team. A lot of our events specifically for bigger competitions, we'll do Jack and Jill events, and they're most of the time worth double points. And if we don't have enough girls, then we can't do those events. So.
Traveling for this team has become a more recent thing, as right after it began, COVID hit and nobody was leaving their state to compete. But this year, the logging team is able to take advantage of their invitations and go represent the green and gold across states like Idaho and Montana.
We got invited to a showcase in Salt Lake for November 5th, and then November 12th we're going up to Moscow, Idaho for a big competition up there.
So we are historically a forestry-based club, and really what this is taking a traditional sport that's a derivative of, logging activities and forestry practices into kind of a show-style event and making it competitive.
I feel like there's a misconception that you have to, well, one, be into forestry and two, have experience. Not at all. Not at all. Yeah, seriously, no, really. We teach you everything you need to know. You don't need to provide anything yourself. It really is just come out, have a good time. You show up, do the work. You fit in better than people that don't. So.
You can find more on this team, raffles, and competition details on their Instagram at CSU Logging Sports. And maybe some of us here at CTV even need to join this team. Back to you, Ruby.
And with that, Rams, we'll take another break, but stick around because you don't want to miss the best part. Hot or Not returns with another Pick'em, and it only happens right here at CTV Channel 11. Yeah, it's the dip.
Living with someone you don't know on the other side of the wall is hard, especially if you don't know how to be a good roommate. The first thing that you'll want to do to be a good roommate is make sure that you always stay quiet. Be considerate of others when using common spaces and appliances. Hey buddy, what you doing? I'm just gonna need like 40 minutes. Be respectful of your roommate's privacy. Ugh, my bad. Finally, make sure that you clean up after yourself. Oh, fresh toothbrush. Have you seen my toothbrush? Follow these tips to get along with your roommates and your landlord.
Welcome back from the break, Ram fans. As I'm sure many of you already know, I'm Madeline Davis, here to fill in as Brandon as moderator for another edition of Hot or Not Pick'em. But before we get into our picks for the night, let's take a glimpse at how much the standings have shaken up since last time. So as you can see here, we got Mike after round 2 at 5-1, really killing it over here. We got me at 4-2, and then Ella, Leah, and Ruby are all sitting down there at 500. Not a bad place to be. Now, if we go to round 3, we got another addition to the board. Mr. Greg James is up there now with a pretty good record, but he is sitting at the bottom right now. But that's nothing to be worried about because it was just because he just didn't have as many picks as us. But Mike still up there at the top. It's getting close. You can see a lot of people with very close records. Anyway, we're going to hop right into our first pick of the night, which is as always, a CSU football game. We got CSU versus Boise State. This is going to be a rough one. CSU has never beat Boise. So personally, I don't know. I'm not feeling like it's going to happen. I think CSU does have a lot of good momentum. They've been playing better, but I'm still going to take Boise.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Colorado State probably will not stand a chance in this one, but I mean, they've had some good momentum like you've said, but I got to go with Boise State.
I have to disagree with you guys because I am actually a Ram, and I'm going to go with the Rams. And I think they've had some great momentum the last game. They keep getting better, and you know, sometimes you just need that underdog advantage and that away field momentum and like motivation to get you that upset win. So I think they're going to do it.
I know I usually choose CSU, but I got some sense this week. I want to keep my record good. I'm going Boise State.
And now we're going to toss it over on the TV to Greg and Ella. What are you guys thinking?
Unfortunately, CSU has just not proved to me that they can take down a team like Boise, especially away out of Canvas Stadium. So I'm going to have to take Boise in this one.
And agreeing with Ella here, I'm taking Boise. I love our Rams, but they just haven't proven that they can beat a serious competitor like Boise.
Back to you, Madeline.
Back to you.
Yeah, I mean, you know, can't argue with stats sometimes. Next up, we've got a high school battle. We've got the beloved Fossil Ridge. Our director, Brandon, is here in his JV baseball jersey from freshman year. I mean, oh, wow. So we got Fossil Ridge versus Pooter. Both have a 7-2 record. You know, I got to support Brandon on this one. I'm going Fossil Ridge.
Yeah, go Brandon, go Fossil Ridge.
Yeah, when you got two good teams, what do? You pick the team with the better mascot, and so I got to go with the Sabercats and Brandon on this one.
I don't know. I'm going Pooter on this one. I think Fossil Ridge had a bad game against Fairview. We saw their weaknesses. I think Pooter exposes them, and they get the win.
Greg and Ella?
I'm over here with the same mindset as Ruby. I think Fossil Ridge's logo is way cooler, and I'm Team Brandon on this one, so I'm going to have to go with Fossil Ridge.
And I'm going to say the Pooter Impalas escape the jaws of the Sabercats, running away with this one in a close one. So go Pooter.
Great wordplay, Greg. Madeline?
Yeah, pretty simple there. Moving on, we've got a volleyball matchup for our resident volleyball player at CTV. We've got number 1 Nebraska versus number 5 Wisconsin. Going to be a tough matchup, but I personally think that Nebraska, I think they're going to pull it out. I think they're going to stay at number 1, go Nebraska.
I agree. They've been a solid team all year, and I just think Nebraska is overall more dominant than Wisconsin, so I think Nebraska's taking this one too.
Yeah, Wisconsin and Nebraska, historically two great teams. It's going to be a great rivalry match. I think Nebraska, they've beat some really good teams. They've swept some really good teams, so I'm going to go with them. Wisconsin had a really hard preseason, and I also just think Nebraska's going to have that motivation from losing that national championship last year, and I think they're going to have a little chip on their shoulder and win this game.
Don't really have the stats for this one. I got a family out there in Wisconsin, so we're rolling with Wisconsin.
Greg and Ella?
In terms of consistency, I think Nebraska is going to come out with this game. Love Wisconsin, think they are a great team and a strong competitor, but Nebraska has just proven themselves this year, so I have to take them.
And yeah, I have to go with that too. Nebraska has only lost one game. That was against the Stanford team.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think they can win this because they just had the better record.
Absolutely. Madeline?
Okay, we're going to speed through this. Save the best for last. World Series. We got Phillies, we got Astros. I'm taking the Phillies because Bryce, in fact, did not lose and Manny did not cruise. So that's what's in. Phillies in 7.
Go Phillies in 7 because the Astros took out my beloved Yankees and I don't want to deal with that, so go Phillies.
I'm also going to say go Phillies on this one.
I'm going Astros. They're the better team, better stats, Astros.
Let's throw it over to TV. Quick.
For the sake of my record and staying above 500 or at least breaking even, I'm picking the Astros in 5 as much as I don't want to.
And I'm going to have to agree. The Astros took down a very good Yankees team, and they're going to do the same to the Phillies. So Astros on this one.
Absolutely. Back to you guys.
With that, Rams, that is all we have time for tonight. We'll see you tomorrow for Geeks. Make sure to tune in to Tom and Alex. Always a fun time. And we'll see you next week.